Nobody told me that consistency can be this hard. It has been a while and I actually miss my lovers, my first lovers. So if you miss me, say hello. It's a pleasure seeing you all this new year and I'm here to tell you Happy New Year. So this is my first video for this new year and I pledge to you that I'm not going to ghost myself again, ever again. And also get ready to be seeing more of my faces because this year we are doing it back to back. So grab your chair and wait for me. This is a cloth I wore to church. I thought to video it for my lovers. Let's dive into it. This is the material I worked with. It was 3 years of flowering crepe, and this type of crepe is looking like a tie and dye type of crepe with my tape rule, my thread and my pattern curve and my brown paper. So let's get straight into our drafting table. We are going to draft out the front pattern firstly. So I've laid my brown paper on top of my drafting table and we are going to start off by marking out our starting line. From the tip of the paper, I'm coming down by 1 inches into several places in order to rule it out to get a straight line, and I'm going to label it our starting line, while this other side is going to serve as our center front. So we are going to label all the labeling with our red marker, while the black marker will be for our vertical and horizontal measurement. So we are starting off by adding our shoulder divide by 2, which I marked 8, and our neck width of 3 inches. This is known as our basic neck width. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope, and that shoulder slope I'm going to slope it all the way back to our neck, and from that shoulder slope we are going to now mark out what our armhole depth is going to look like. So how do we calculate our armhole depth? Our bust divide by 6 plus 1.5 inches for the armhole depth. So any figure that is left is what you are going to use and mark out your armhole depth, starting from your slope, not from the starting line but rather from your slope line. So I'm going to now go ahead and rule it out and label it as our chest line. And from my starting line, I'm going to mark out my bust point into several places in order to get a straight line. I'm going to go over and rule it out. You can rule it out with your ruler or your pattern curve. This pattern curve is called all-purpose pattern curve. It has both the curvy and the ruler part. So if you're a beginner, it's best to get it. I'm going to go ahead and impute my underbust, shoulder to underbust. Remember, we are imputing all the vertical lines. So after getting all our vertical lines, we now start imputing our horizontal line. Our horizontal lines are all the circumferences of our body. So this is my underbust. So from the starting line, I'm also going to come by my front waistline. Also note that your front waistline and your back waistline is not the same. Your front waistline is longer than your back waistline because of the presence of bust in the front. And from my waistline, I'm going to impute my hip line. Your hip line is the fuller part of your butt. From your waist to the fuller part of your butt is known as your hip line. I marked it into several places. I'm going to rule it out in order to get my straight line, and all the vertical lines we need for this upper part is ready. I'm proceeding to put our horizontal measurement. From my chest line, I imputed my shoulder, what I have shoulder divided by 2, in order to complete my armhole line. And for the depth, I went up by 3 and I went out by 1/2 inch, and I rule it up to our shoulder tip. And I'm going to now impute our bust divide by 4 in order to complete my armhole curve. And this is it, I'm completing it. So we are ready for that. And for the waist, I'm imputing my waist divide by 4 plus 1 inch that intake, and I'm going to reel it all over to that chest line like so. And we are going to proceed in our hip divide by 4, and we are going to now reel it all the way to the hip line using our pattern curve. And that is it for the front. We are going to now go ahead and impute our nipple to nipple measurement, which is your bust span. And your bust span, you are going to mark it on your waist, your under bust, your bust point, and your hip line in order to get a straight line. I'm pinpointing everything. I'm going to go ahead and rule out. And for the dart leg, I'm going to open it up by half inch. And for the hip line, I went up by 2 inches, but I don't want the dart to reach my hip line. And for the bust point, I came down by half an inch. I don't also want the dart to reach that bust point. I also rule it out, and our dart leg is formed. And remember, like I said earlier, your front waist and your back waist is not always the same, so we are going to add a side dart in order to eliminate the difference. So the difference between my front waist and my back waist is 2. So that is the reason why from my bust point I came down by 2 and rule it all the way to our nipple to nipple measurement. And if you watch closely, you see that the front part have a little bit of curve. So from the hip line, I came up by 3 inches, while by this side I came down by 1.5 inch. And I'm going to join that 2 points together to get that curve that I need. And that is it for the front. We are going to now proceed to the neck side to get our v-neck. So for our basic neck width, I altered it. I came in by 1 inch extra to make it 4/7, while the neck depth I came down by 7. And I'm going to join the 2 lines together to make it 4/7. That is it for your v-neck. And if you want it to go more deeper, you can go ahead and go down by 9 inches. And that is it. Cutting it out. And after cutting it out, we are going to go ahead and close that side that we don't need. Before you close your side that, you must open up your waist dart. I went ahead to open up my waist dart in order to close my side dart. You can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to now use my hand and close it like so. You trace the line that you drew, you try and follow the line and close it, and make sure it's meeting your bust point line like so. I'm going to basically use my masking tape to mask it down, and the remaining side that has a little bit of like lacking, I'm going to use my extra paper to complete it. Like you can see that a little bit was lacking by that side. I use my extra paper to complete it. And that is it for the front. We now proceed in drafting at the back. For the back, I have gone ahead to get our chest line, our armhole, and our starting line using the method we used to draft the front. And from my starting line, I'm coming down by my back waistline into several places, and I'm going to go ahead and rule it out with my pattern curve, and also go ahead and label it so that it will be more clearer, like I always said. So from my waistline, I'm also going to mark out my hip line of 9 inches, and I'm also going to mark it into several places and go ahead to rule it out in a straight line. So by the side is now our center back. So we are going to do back contour in order to eliminate zipper bulge. So from that center back, I came in by 1 inch from my waist, and I rule it all over to the hip, and I also rule it up all over to our neck tip. And that is it. We have a curvy line by our side of the waist for the back. Your back don't need to be straight. If not, you have excess zipper bulge. Eliminate this one first and see what happens. So I also went ahead to add our waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart intake. I also went ahead to further eliminate zipper bulge. I went up by 0.75 on the both curvy line we have, and I rule it all the way to the side waist. You can see what I did there. And for the hip, I also went ahead to mark out my hip divided by 4, and I rule it all over to my waistline like so. And that is it for the back. Now also going to go ahead and add our nipple to nipple measurement in order to get our dart. We start marking the nipple to nipple measurement from our initial line in order to get a straight line, not from the curvy back. And you open up your dart by half inch like we did to the front, and that is it. I also came up by 2 inches by the hip line, and I formed my dart. My dart has been formed. And for the neck width, I went in by 1 inch, and for the neck depth is 1. So 4/1 for the neck width and depth of the back. We now proceed in cutting our pattern, and let's go cut it out. ASAP. I'm cutting it in such a way that after cutting it, we are going to go ahead and also close the side that I added at that waist area. The essence of adding all this that is to eliminate this barbage. So I'm basically going to slant one part and use the other part to overlay on the other part. Simple like ABCD. Open up one dart, overlay the other to the other dart, and use your masking tape to tape it down. And after taping it down, we are going to also form the curve that we formed for the front. Remember, the front is a bit lower, but I don't want the back to be that lower like the front. What I'm going to do is redefine what we have on that waistline with my ruler and my marker. Redefine it. So from the waistline, I'm also going to label it. From the waistline, by the side, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches like we did for the front, and for the center back, I'm coming down by 2 inches. I don't want it to be long like the front. I'm basically going to come down by 2 inches. What we did for the front is from the hip line we came up by 3 inches, but we are not doing the same. And I'm going to go ahead and rule it like so in order to get a back curve. And we now proceed in marking it. Both our front and back drafting paper is ready. I'll go ahead and cut it out. We are going to go and transfer our patterns to our working fabric. This is both the front and the back. We are going to basically transfer it to our working fabric, and we're also going to cut both the fabric and the lining. And I've cut it out. These are the allowances I added. By the side, I added 1.5 sewing allowance. By the armhole, half. Neck, half. Shoulder, half. Why? It's only by the side that I added 1.5, which is our seam allowance, also known as sewing allowance. And I'm also going to go ahead and head the dart. And I also did the same. Our zip allowance is 1 inch, the side 1.5, the neck half, shoulder half, armhole half, the down part half. I cut both the main fabric and lining. And to get the length of our gown, I measured what we have for the front, and the remaining measurement is what we are going to use to cut what we are going to use and gather the down part. And this is how to do the calculation. My gown length is 45 minus 24, what I measured for the front length. We are left with 21. I'm going to add it extra 2 for hemming and sewing allowance, and this is what is left from our pieces. The width is going to be 3 yards, while the length is going to be 23. That 23 is both the sewing and hemming allowance for our beautiful gown. So this is what is left from our 3 yards, and I'm going to keep it aside and go over to my machine to go and hold our dart, both our main fabric and our lining. I've gone ahead to hold our dart and iron press it. Prioritize ironing your sewing as you go. Don't wait until you finish before you iron. So I'm going to use this lining to turn both the neck and the side of our main fabric with just some inches. And I'm also going to do the same to the front. This is the front. I'm also going to use the lining to turn it, and this lining is satin. I love satin because it gives this coolness in the body. And I'm going to go ahead and sew it and also come and show you. Remember to iron press as you sew. Don't wait until you finish before you press your beautiful clothes. And this is me. I've gone ahead to iron press what I sewed, and it's looking so beautiful. Both the inside and the outside is looking neat. What I'm going to do now is to go ahead and run a loose stitch on that zipper side in order to be able to close my side measurements. Remember, we're also going to rip off the loose stitch when we want to put our gather. And this is it. I've gone ahead to sew it. And for the shoulder, I'm going to show you how to close your shoulder like a pro. For the front shoulder, you're not going to, both the lining and the main fabric is going to be together. While for the back, when you lay the back on top of the front, the main fabric facing the main fabric of the front, you are going to now go ahead and flip the lining to the other side of the front and pin it down with your pin, and also go ahead and run a stitch. So this is how you do it and close it. Both the front and the back will be looking neat. You see how the front is looking neat and the back is also looking neat. So what you are going to do now is to cut out the excess, because you do not want it to be bulky. Cut out the excess so that it will relax more. And I'm basically going to go ahead and close the side, both the waist, my bust and my upper hip. I'm going to go ahead and mark out all the measurements I have, and I've gone ahead to close it. And this is it for the front. Our gown is coming out so quite lovely and fine. What I'm going to do is trim out this dart leg that we have and other excesses that we don't need. And I also gone ahead to cut out what I'm going to use for the gather. Like I said, the length is 23 while the width is 3 yards, complete 3 yards. If you also have 4 yards, you can also make use of it. The more you gather, the more fuller and finer it becomes. And this is it for the upper part. You see how neat it's looking, both the front and the back. And I've gone ahead to cut out the fabric we are going to use to gather, and we are going to start gathering like this evenly from one side until we reach the other side. If only. And this is the outcome of it. It's looking so fine. I'm going to go ahead and input our zip and use the remaining fabric to create a balloon sleeve for this gown. If you don't know how to create a balloon sleeve, I have a well detailed tutorial on how to create a balloon sleeve here in my channel. You can go ahead and watch it. And thanks for watching. I added roses by the side.